Hi, everyone. I'm very excited to be here. Who is familiar with what I wanted to do? I wanted to go back 1 year back because during this presentation, I want to show you what happened since Gen AI started to play a significant role in finance and accounting. So I will start with a quick poll. Who has heard about Gen AI in May 2023 at this time of the year? Can you please raise your hand? Okay. ChatGPT, right? Good, good. So keep your hands up. The next question is, who knows what happened in May 2023 in accounting and finance with ChatGPT? I have no hands. Okay. So in May 2023, ChatGPT passed the CPA exam. That's what happened. Yes. So that means not only you can automate tasks, but the machine can learn and handle complex transactions and complex situations, which means ChatGPT now acts almost like an AI CPA coworker that you can have in your pocket every time. So that's the reason why I'm here. A month after that event in May 2023, I left my position as a managing director at Ernst & Young in Chicago to go back to school. I'm a CPA in France and the US, and I was very impressed by that milestone. And so I decided to go back to school to learn more about data science, understand what is behind the algorithm, and what made possible that milestone. So today, one of the companies I work with during my research was Absen. And today I will highlight a few findings from that research. We are going to spend time on what happened over the year. We will touch on T&E, but we will touch also on FP&A and data analysis. And I will share with you what is happening in the future. What I wanted to share with you, and I'm very excited that you are here, is that this is not going away, as you know. It's meant to stay. And the sooner you embrace it, and the better it will be both for you from a personal standpoint in your own career, and also for your clients and teams. So Annette, when he introduced this keynote today, he talked about the 2.4 trillion of productivity generated by ChatGPT. So what we are going to do, we are going to go through 5 case studies, both in accounting and in different areas, to show you where are the opportunities. You may not be able to act on every single of them today, but we want you to continue to have that curiosity and mindset to continue to learn and grow, okay? So I talk about it. Before we do that, let me explain a little bit the framework on how we conducted the research, so then you understand where these case studies are coming from. So when ChatGPT was introduced, the number of solution providers have significantly changed. Historically, when you think about CFOs, you have big ERP providers like SAP, Oracle, Microsoft Dynamics, and so on. But now, with AI, you have companies like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, and you also have a lot of solution providers like Absen, who were doing some AI before. Now they are using the Gen function to make it more accessible to everyone, right? So the landscape has evolved a little bit. What we did, we looked at over 150 solutions, specifically like Absen, across the entire CFO suite. We cover, and then 35 solutions were qualified. By qualification, our approach here was to look at every single solution and assess whether or not they have quantitative and qualitative results. We were very strict on the quantitative piece because everyone out there is claiming to do AI, and so it's very easy to say things you are not actually doing. And then after that, we also look at the customers' stories, and we were able to access some of the customers and talk directly to them. So I was able to speak to some Absent customers as well. So that's what's the approach. And out of that, we identified 35 solution providers, including Absent. So that means out of what we look at, 20% of these solutions are actually working. That doesn't mean they do not hallucinate, but that means they do what they are meant to do, and they use machine learning to continue to improve and learn, right? So today, I will highlight a few case studies, but that's in terms of the methodology. And at the end of the presentation, I will take questions as well. So, okay. Before we dive into the case studies, I want to take 2 to 3 minutes to explain to you the framework that we have seen people using when they approach case studies. The reason why this framework is very important is because you are going to be inundated with a lot of case studies on AI, whether or not you like it. And you need to come up with your own framework to assess that and identify the one you want to pursue and the one you don't want to pursue, right? Throughout our research that we conducted with CFOs, there are 3 lenses that they use to assess the case studies here. The first is, how would AI disrupt our business model, right? The primary purpose of your company, it's not only to deliver the T&E, it's actually to deliver product to your clients. And so you need to be aware of what is out there because AI can help you to better do that also. The second aspect is how that will disrupt the operations within the company. That point is very important because you can use AI to move from your own function, start collaborating with other functions. It could be procurement, HR, and so on, deliver value to them and establish your own brand. And that strategic insight is very important because that's how you change the decision people are making based on the data you have, right? And the last aspect is the finance function itself. Within the finance function, obviously, with AI, you are going to drive more productivity and cost savings. That is important. But there is so much you can do in terms of cost saving, right? After that, you need to provide those strategic insights that we talk about, help people to make different decisions. And then there is also a talent shortage. And a challenge right now is to hire people to crunch the numbers. Less and less people with the Gen Z want to do more analysis. And so AI is also an opportunity for you to elevate the role and help them to do more analysis. So this is the 3 framework I want you to keep in mind. And most of you who is here today will likely start with Absent solutions, so you will start within the finance function. And the hope is to move up the ladder, right? You may not change the product of the company, but at least you can provide insight to someone in procurement, someone in a different department, and help them to make different decisions, right? You have an impact here, and that's what we want to understand. Okay, so we are going to cover 2 case studies on efficiency and productivity, and then 2 on FP&A and 1 on the generalist AI. So as part of the research, I had the opportunity, like I said, to talk to most of the companies using this solution. And I want to start with Absent, because this is something most of you are familiar with, and it's a good starting point to the other different solution I will walk you through. So This is a summary of the quantitative and qualitative results. What I wanted to emphasize here when it comes to autonomous AP is that what the Airbus team did that I want to share with you, they were able to use the solution to drive, first of all, savings within their own department, but then they get the attention of other countries. And so they were able to share insight with business units in Singapore, Europe, and Asia. Out of that, they create a shared service center, and they use that platform for a global expansion, meaning that the Absen workflow that they designed to work with the T&E expenses was the one used when a shared service center was created in Portugal. That means they were able to move from their own function and move up the ladder and influence other departments, procurement, AP, and drive a new design for the AP function. So this is at reach. Everyone can do this. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. The other thing that I want to emphasize here is AI is not there only to do your work differently. It can also help you to elevate your own brand. And the two people who led that project at Airbus have been promoted to different functions now because they gain more visibility. And so also I want you to think about it, because the sooner you embrace this and the better it will be for your own career and for your companies as well. So if we move now, if you think about T&E and what AP is doing with Absen, what happened is you basically look at the expenses when they have already been incurred, right? So there is so much you can do there. There are opportunities to move up into the ladder. The next use case is an opportunity to go up to the sourcing component, right? The mindset we want you to keep having is, as long as you follow the data and you have all the data, there is a lot of insight you can unlock. Globality is a solution that helps you to automate your sourcing and help you to accelerate the way you select some providers. One thing I wanted to add is that the benchmarking aspect. Most of the time you will have your own data, but the way you unlock opportunities is by benchmarking, comparing your data with the data of your peers or of the industry. And that helps you to create more values. So that's what this solution is doing. They benchmark and they compare your data, what you are paying with some vendors, to what your peers are paying, and they help you to make decisions. They were able, the case studies we look at here, they were able, out of 150 million, to save like roughly 20%. It's almost 25 million on an annual basis, saved with AI. So this is how we get to the 2.4 trillion that Annette mentioned. When you implement this solution, you can reduce the time and effort to do tasks, but more importantly, you can save money and improve your brand in the company. So now we talk about the T&E piece, we talk about the sourcing. There is one more area I want to highlight before we move to FP&A. It's the fact that since you have all this data, you can leverage it to change the culture of spending within your company, because that's where you have a say and that's where you can drive changes. So but to change the culture of spending, there are solutions out there, and one of them is Glen AI, where they will combine the benchmark piece with the information that you have, like with a company like Absen, and they combine both and they compare the actual versus the budget, right? This is where you are in terms of your spending. You can receive alerts based on people who are spending more and whether or not you are spending as expected. And more importantly, you can let people know even before they submit some expenses, hey, you reach 80% of what someone in your position in average expense, and we are only in May, right? So you may want to, let's have a conversation. And so these type of solutions are here to help you make different decisions and empower you to make change within the company. So this is just an example, but we want you to be aware of that. Now, we are going to move to FP&A. FP&A is, there are a lot of expectation on FP&A when it comes to AI because they have a lot of data and they are used to work with data and they can deliver value. So there are two solutions that I want quickly to emphasize here when it comes to FP&A. Data Rails is a solution of, that operates in Excel. What Data Rail does is that they will consolidate all your information from different sources. So they are addressing another challenge, which is to do FP&A most of the time. You have information from multiple sources. They centralize everything in a secure private environment, and then it's a cloud, and then they inject that back into your Excel. This is transparent for you, but they take care of the consolidation, the elimination, and a lot of things for you. That reduces the number of errors that you can do and help you to iterate more frequently your forecasting and deliver the same result with more efficiency. The other thing that is very interesting there is that it's also help you to move up into the ladder of decision because now you have all this data. You can talk to your peers in different departments and interact with them real time. The next one is Planful. It's also an FP&A solution. The main difference between Planful and Data Rails is that Planful focuses primarily on Excel, whereas, Data Rails focus primarily on Excel, whereas Planful is a platform similar to what Appsen is trying to build, where everything is on the platform, you gather information from different departments, and you can run your scenario more often. One thing to emphasize here is that what helps you to unlock the value is not only your internal data, but also external data. Meaning you can compare your scenarios with market trends, with what's happening in the market, and assess, okay, this is our forecast, but like the price of oil is keep increasing, so how are we going to consider that? And then you can reiterate every month, every quarter. This solution have helped companies who were taking months to run forecasts to run it more efficiently and more faster. Unlocking and be able to predict things based on AI is where the future is. Your data are not static, they are evolving all the time, and it's very important for you to keep that mindset in mind. Now we talk about efficiency, predictive analytics, and FP&A. I want to close this out with a focus on productivity. AI, there are a lot of questions about trust and when it comes to AI. I want you to share this example with you. So if someone ever asks you, do you trust AI? You should answer, my auditor uses AI to review my account, so I can trust AI. There are some hallucinations. There is a need to keep a human in the loop, and that will not go away, but the technology is getting better and better. Microsoft Azure released a Copilot where PwC is using that Copilot for the next generation audit. What that means is that you can assess a lot of data, internal data from different companies, compare them, accelerate your audit, increase your fraud detection, review 100% of transactions, similar to what you do with Appsen, where in the past you only operate with sampling, you deliver more value, and you improve your client services, right? And so this is just an example. Trust is being built, There is a hype about AI, but that also is the reality that people are working on it. And I want you to think about all these case studies that I just presented. Everything happened within a year. So there is more to come. And I'm glad you are here because this is not going away. And the sooner, again, you embrace it, and the better it is. So that is for the productivity. One of the common questions that comes with AI is about data privacy. And during the research that we will finalize in July, that is keep going, we came across ChatGPT Enterprises version. Who has used the Enterprises version of ChatGPT here in the room? Okay, 2 hands. This is accessible to everyone. Most of the people we talk to have been using ChatGPT and the enterprise version. The story behind that is everyone is using AI now in your company, whether or not you like it. And so, but AI, ChatGPT is a public environment. And so they created this enterprise version where they guarantee that they don't use your data to train the LLMs. Your data remain confidential to you. And you can custom your GPT based on different profile in your companies. And so as you can see, we have seen a lot of case studies where people are using it for research. Like you can upload all your policies and create a knowledge management center, for instance, where people will go and ask questions, right? They don't need to read the entire policies anymore. They can ask questions before they make a decision. When it comes to SOP, you can upload all your SOPs, all your information, and people can go there and chat. The synthesis, we have seen use cases where people will upload different internal management reports into ChatGPT and in the FP&A department and ask them to summarize the information and provide the output, similar to what you do with your own version. But the only difference is this is an enterprise version that is owned by your company. Obviously, everyone has visibility on that, but it's meant to be used with data privacy and confidence. Writing skills, people want to write emails, they want to write to the client. Instead of uploading the information of the company, they can do that here, and so on and so on. And coding as well. Coding is very important because by no means we want all of you to understand coding, but if you are using, if you're in the FP&A, it's very important to be able at some point to explain the results of the system. And in order to do that, you need to understand the algorithm. ChatGPT can help you to rebuild the algorithm that AI is using behind and help you to explain the outcome, understand the drivers that are making a change. And so this is out there also. So before we wrap up and take questions, I wanted to conclude by saying that this is everything that happened within a year. And I'm spending time now at Stanford using data sciences to see where we will go from there. But what I wanted to share is that we look at case studies in efficiency, FP&A, productivity, and there are more in taxes being developed, and so on and so on. So this is not, again, going away. It's very important for you to understand why this matters for you. Why, although you are only taking care of the AP, why you need to understand the rest. Because that will affect you. The sooner you use AI, the better it is. AI is not meant to replace you. It will enhance your capabilities. However, the people who are not using AI may be replaced by people like you who are using AI, right? Because you will deliver faster, you will elevate your own brand in the company. So this is, from a personal standpoint, very important for your own career progression. And I want to close with three asks, a call to action, right? We saw what happened within a year. It's very important for you to be open and imagine what could happen in the future. The possibilities are endless. So keep trying new things. I only share 5 case studies, but we look at 150 solutions, like I said. And so spend time exploring some of these solutions or talking to your peers who are involved about it, because you are going to learn, collaborate with them again, and continue to stay updated. And the only way to get comfortable with AI is to continue to use AI, right? You have seen that with Absen. The first outcome may not be perfect, but the more you spend time on these data analytics, on this report, and the better you understand them and you become familiar with them. So thank you. This is the end, and I will take a few questions. I have 5 minutes, I think, to take questions. Any question on anything? I know I'm in between you and the lunch, so I'm fully aware of that. Sorry, you have a question.
I'm curious about ChatGPT exercise.
Yeah.
Well, you hear in the media now all the crazy answers you get in Google when you type in questions where it says, recommends eating a rock
Right.
for your health. So how do you control in this environment uploading your policies and it giving you crazy responses in terms of your policies?
Yeah.
If users go in and ask like an expense question and controlling for something that may not be in your policy.
That's a fair question. I think that over time, it will get better in your own environment. When you have ChatGPT, your IT team will be involved to help you custom your own GPT. And these anomalies, we expect this anomaly at the beginning, of course, but the tool is meant to learn over time, right, and get better. So that's what we were told. And I do think that it's also better as a behavior for people to ask a question before they, in the policies. So it's also good for an education standpoint. That won't reduce the anomaly, like I mentioned, because they still want humans to be in the loop. But I think 90% of the time, the tool will be right. Yeah. Any other question? Okay, I think it's lunchtime. That's what it means. Thank you.